Hi everyone, it's Fjordström. WWDC is coming very soon, and just like the past few years, we're asking ourselves now, will the iPad Air 2 get the latest iPadOS updates? And the past years, we've always been skeptical, thinking, no, it probably won't. It's already a very old device. I mean, it's from 2014. And then Apple surprised us and gives us the latest feature updates. And now this is running iPadOS 15.5, the latest beta. I just updated it. It took a while, but it updated. And here we are with the latest features. So that is absolutely awesome, and I really appreciate Apple for giving us all these new features the past 8 years. And now it's 2022, and we're asking ourselves again, will this get the latest iPadOS update? Let's look into all the options. Okay, this here is the 2014 iPad Air 2. This has the A8X chip, which was of course more powerful than the A8 chip, and at the same time this has 2 GB of RAM, and my configuration here is 64 GB of storage. Now the 2 GB of RAM and the A8X chip were a perfect combination to make this iPad last this long until now. It came out with iOS 8.1, and now it's running iPadOS 15.5. iOS 8.1, that's just 1 year after the whole redesign of iOS, and that is just a really long time ago. There are so many features that have been added here to this iPad Air 2 for the past years. For example, multitasking came out in iOS 8, having 2 apps run at the same time, side by side. Slide over has been added here in the past years as well. The Files app, external storage support, also here on the iPad Air 2. The transition from the Music app to the Apple Music app, which launched back in 2015. The redesigned dock here at the bottom, so you can store more apps on one place, in folders, and from any app you could swipe up to have the dock and open another app in split screen. That also has been added here to the iPad Air 2 back in the day. Oh, having an app open, by the way, these 3 dots that have been added last year with iPadOS 15. The introduction of the gestures instead of using the home button all the time. The redesigned control center, the redesigned notification screen. So many features have been added to this iPad that is just unbelievable that this was still running iOS 8 when it came out. This iPad was my absolutely favorite iPad until I bought the iPad Pro back in 2018. This iPad as well, super happy with it. I really hope that iPadOS 16 will be a substantial update for the iPad Pro, of course for every iPad, but also for the Pros, that hopefully will take advantage of the entire power of the chips that are currently in it, especially for the M1 iPad Pros. Anyway, iPadOS 16, my wish list is coming soon. Your wish list, what is your wish list? Please leave a comment down below, and also tell me if you think the iPad Air 2 will get iPadOS 16 or not. Anyway, let's concentrate ourselves again to the main question: is the iPad Air 2 getting iPadOS 16 or not? So there are a few indications telling us it probably won't, and that's my general expectation. Again, I really hope Apple surprises us. But first of all, this iPad is 8 years old, or almost 8 years old. It's unlikely that it will still receive an update. If ever it does, it would be very cool. I really hope that it won't slow it down. Currently, it works fine for me personally, a secondary device. It works okay. It doesn't work as fast, of course, as my iPad Pro or any newer iPad probably, but it still works. It's still very usable, and I would still enjoy using this to watch a casual movie or to look up something. This is still very usable. But if iPadOS 16 would be forced onto this device, and then it would slow down the device using more RAM and more of the CPU, it would really be a shame if it would slow it down. Hopefully it's similar or exactly the way it is right now. Another indication is mentioned on Apple's support pages. If you go here to Safari, this here is a list of the vintage devices here on Apple's website. So if you scroll down, you can see here vintage products. So products are considered vintage when Apple stopped distributing them for sale more than 5 and less than 7 years ago. So of course the iPad Air 2 came out in 2014, but they still sold it for in 2015. So it's kind of normal that iPad Air 2 will be here. And indeed, if you go here to iPad, you can see the iPad Air 2 now being listed as vintage. So does this now mean that the iPad Air 2 isn't getting iPadOS 16? Maybe, but then again, this is just a list of vintage products, not necessarily products that won't be getting software updates. Now, if you look at the other vintage products, well, these products don't run the latest version of macOS, for example. But at the same time, iPad Air 2 is now vintage, but is running the latest version. So that's why it isn't necessarily that it is here that it doesn't support iPadOS 16 potentially, but that's something that we'll only see at WWDC. Now, even if it doesn't get the latest feature update, iPadOS 16, it is a possibility that it will still get security updates. So for example, if there's a vulnerability in the chip, now if Apple decides to still make iPadOS 16 for the iPad Air 2, just for those cool few features, for example, redesigned icons and so on, that's something that wouldn't really probably won't impact the performance. So if they decide to do make one and then leave out a few options, that might be possible as well. Like for example, if you go to split screen right now here in iPadOS 15, let's say we have this, we open a secondary screen like this, and that works, of course. We could even open a third app, as you know. Slide over works exactly as you'd expect from any iPad, any more recent iPad as well. But the difference here is that this here is dark because you cannot control the other screens while slide over is open. And one more example of a feature that is left out right now on the iPad Air 2 is Quick Notes. So for example, here from the bottom right, you can launch a Quick Note, and the whole Quick Notes and App Links section here in the Settings app is left out on the iPad Air 2. Let's say external monitor support comes to iPadOS 16. Again, let's say, so it's probably not going to come. Hopefully it will. I really hope it will. But if ever they do add external monitor support, then it's possible they will leave it out on this iPad because the chip, it would be maybe asking too much performance of the GPU in this iPad, for example. Okay, now again, everything in this video was just speculation, just thinking out loud if this iPad will get an update. The iPad Air 2 has been an awesome device, still is an awesome device, and it's great that Apple still supports it until today, May 4. What do you think? Will this get iPadOS 16 or not? And what is your wish list for iPadOS 16? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video.